Welcome to Hispanic Biz Success Stories. I'm Homero Galicia. We discuss with successful business owners their story. Today we have a gentleman who's built a wonderful business who has a great story of triumph and victories and a lot of struggles. Mr. Nick Delgado, the president of Quality Fruit and Veg. Mr. Delgado, thank you for taking time to be with us today.
Thank you for inviting. You bet.
I really appreciate your time.
My pleasure.
Mr. Delgado, what is Quality Fruit and Veg?
Quality Fruit and Veg Company is a wholesale business that sells fruits and vegetables to our local area. We extend all the way through all of New Mexico, and we do some in Mexico as well. I have customers Southwest and back into Mexico, all the way from Juarez, Chihuahua, Torreon, all the way to Mexico City.
Wow. When did you start your business?
Started the business in 1986.
Wow. So you're 31 years old or 30?
30, going on 31 in November. We're right around the corner. Yes, sir.
Fantastic. And how big is Quality Fruit and Veg?
We're one of the larger wholesalers in my line of work in produce. We basically have two facilities, one here in El Paso and another facility in Albuquerque. The El Paso is by far the largest. It's 68,000 square feet. We have a fleet of 30-some trucks that go deliver all over town, and besides tractor trailers as well. And also in Albuquerque, we do have a facility there. That facility is smaller. It's only about 22,000 square feet. But we do have employed there about 25 people, and we have a fleet of 9 trucks there to deliver all that area as well. In fact, from that facility, we'll actually take care of all of New Mexico.
Wow. So overall, how many employees do you have?
Altogether, it's about 175.
Wow. So let me ask you, Mr. Delgado, you're from El Paso.
Yes, sir. I was born in El Paso, but at the age of 2, my parents moved to Sacramento, California, and I actually lived there for 8 years. And then my parents moved back when I was getting close to about 10 years old, and I've been here since.
So when you came back to El Paso, what school did you go to?
I started at Clardy Fox, Clardy right there in central El Paso, and it was actually very challenging. What happened with me, I'm Hispanic, and gracias a Dios, I know Spanish today. But when we first came, moving to California, my parents never spoke to us in Spanish, wanted to make sure that we learn English well, and the school that we actually went to over there was all Anglo, and just ourselves and one other family were Hispanics in the whole school, and we never practiced it. So coming back to El Paso was an eye-opener. It was a shocker. I go into class, and they're not all talking Spanish, but some are saying things to each other in Spanish, and then they ask me a question in Spanish. I kind of stare at them like, what? What'd you say? And they would look at me very strange, like, well, what's wrong with this guy?
Did you get bullied a lot?
Oh, that was a lot of bullying. That's one of the things that I learned very quick, to defend myself.
You have brothers and sisters?
I have 2 brothers, an older brother, a year older, and a younger brother.
Okay. And what was your growing up like?
Well, we had a good growing up in Sacramento. We had a great time. Parents were together. But when we moved back to El Paso, this is where I guess you might say our lives changed a lot. My parents, for whatever reason, got divorced. And my mother, of course, that's where we lived with my mother, and she had to go to work, something that she hadn't done in her married career there. I'm 11, 12 years old when they get divorced, and my mother was fortunate to get work in the school cafeterias. In fact, she served food at Jefferson High School. That's where she was serving food. My mom had about an 8th grade education, but she wanted to better herself as well, and we were all very proud and fortunate that she chose to go back and get her GED. And it was challenging for her, growing up, a couple of teenagers and a younger son as well. But she did the best she could and continued to go to school until she was able to complete her GED. with that, she was able to get a different job within the school system. She became a teacher's aide, an assistant to the teacher, and she loved it very much. In fact, that was at the Hawkins School, and it was with the handicapped kids. She loved it very much, and looking at her at work, you'd think she was the teacher, not the aide. You know, she's very proud, and we were very proud of her.
But she taught you a lot.
I learned a lot from that. I learned determination that if you really want to do something, it's up to you. Opportunities are there. We don't realize it a lot of times, but you work hard and do your due diligence and do what you need to get done to further yourself, it can be done.
So it wasn't easy.
No, it's not easy. It's challenging. It's difficult. But when you're determined and you have your heart in it, you can do it.
Yeah. Well, your mother certainly did that. Wow.
She showed us that, yes.
And then what high school did you end up going to?
I started off at Burgess High School as a freshman. I went there for a year. And the majority of my time was spent at Jefferson after that. Going to Burgess was a little bit difficult because we took a bus. And it was too costly for us to be bussed out there and so forth. My mom now was already working the Jefferson cafeteria, which was great, and we were able to get on the food program as well, so we were able to eat there in the school. So I would even see my mom during lunch. It was kind of nice. And from there, I ended up going to Bowie. That's where I ended up graduating from, was from Bowie.
Okay. Where did you live?
We lived in different areas. In the Scarity central area by Clardy Fox, where we first lived, to Escarate, and then Di Vargas. Di Vargas was central there, close to Henderson Intermediate School. And from there, we would always be, I guess, associating with friends there out of the projects there by the Coliseum. Right across the Coliseum, there was some
good active neighborhoods.
very active, very strong neighborhoods. That's where I grew up.
What kind of a kid were you?
I'd like to think that I was a respectful person, but I had to learn to be strong. Everything that our family was going through, I felt I needed to help where I could. My mom, during the school season, had work. But during the summers, well, then guess what? No work, no pay. So my mother didn't work during the summer, but I was fortunate that she had a brother that had a business, Hawkins Produce. And that's where I went to work since I was 12 years of age. All my summers, my Saturdays and Sundays were spent there at the warehouse working for my uncle, sweeping floors, unloading trucks, whatever I could handle. I learned the business from the ground up.
So that was Lelo Jaques.
That is correct. Lelo, I had a brother, Manny, that helped him as well. Manny was more focused on the trucking industry. My uncle Lelo, he was the buyer of the produce and director of basically the whole business itself.
Yeah. Mr. Jaques had developed a name for himself with a Lulax, and he was very strong with a lot of community activity. And I remember he had a produce company. What did Lelo stand for? Alfredo or what?
His name was, I don't know where they got Lelo from, but his name is Alfredo Jaques.
Okay, that was interesting. Yeah, and he's passed away now. But you worked for him.
I worked for my uncle for 20 years. And like I said, as a young man, since 12, 13 years of age, I did a little bit of everything. You know, like I said, starting with unloading trucks, and with time becoming truck driver. I would go deliver to Fort Bliss and all over the city. And this is how I learned the business from the ground up. And as I'm going through all this, I'm getting to understand it and enjoying it. And with time, I guess you might say, I'm giving my eye to the office, like, I can do that. I see what they're doing. And I could see that they needed assistance as well. I would see opportunities, and I always got involved in them. They didn't have to tell me I need to do this or that. I always would find things that I could assist with. And one, I wanted to thank my uncles in whatever way I can for giving me this opportunity at such a tender age. So I always wanted to prove to them that I was worthy. That I'm not just there to for gratitude. I mean, I'm there to do my job.
Did you have an idea that you wanted to have your own business down the line?
Down the line, as I was growing, I would see what was going on there, and like I told you, I see what my mother had done and everything else, and I was watching my uncles very closely. They had a good, successful business, and I felt, gee, that's what I really wanted was to better myself and my family. I actually ended up getting married when I was 19. I was about a couple of years out of high school when I got married, and at the same time, I want to start my family, but I don't want the family to suffer and go through what I went through. I wanted to better myself, and by watching what was going on, I felt that's something that I feel comfortable I would be able to run a business. And fortunately, little by little, I drove my way into from truck drivers to foreman, and to finally edge my way into assisting my uncle in sales and office work.
So you learned the business over a long period of time. Did you realize you were training and preparing?
No, I didn't at the time. I did it to show my gratitude for all they've done for me as well. But at the same time, I'm enjoying it and I'm understanding it, and it's really intriguing me to try to find some way to get more involved. With time, I ended up working for my uncle for 20 years. Towards the last 5 years, I was actually running the business for him, assisting him. My uncle fortunately was able to go to Puerto Rico with the Lulackers or whatnot, and he was comfortable that he had a good team back home to take care of the business. I took care of the produce business, and his brother was taking care of the trucking business. So he felt very comfortable, and I felt very good that he was putting the trust in us, and that's how I learned the business.
Were your uncles role models for you?
Most definitely, both of them were. Lelo, like I said, he was the one that you might say was the wheeler dealer. He was always finding things to bring in, to do, and how to work things. Manny was always focused on trucks, and he also taught me a lot on how to manage money. One thing the Hawkes Produce Company was well known for was to take care of their debts. They knew that there's what we call a blue book. It's a rating for all the produce companies in the United States. And the best you can get is a 4X AA. That's what my uncle carried, because he knew with that, everybody was comfortable that he takes care of business, takes care of his debt, and they know that with a matter of 7 to 14 days, they've got their money back. And it's a real, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a prestigious position to be in for the produce industry.
So you learned how to maintain that.
And I learned from them how to take care of this. And like I said, Manny was very controlling, making sure that things went tightly on all finances and so forth as well. They were a great team, the both of them, and I learned from both of them. My uncle, of course, Lelo, Alfred, he was the one that was most impressive to me, because he was the main owner, and he carried himself well, and he got involved with the community well, and showed what he could do.
So you've got great training, and you had this spirit about having to succeed somewhere along the line that came into the way you did things. You had drive. Did you begin to see then that you had this talent to run the operation? You're running it, but I mean, independent is another world.
It is a whole new world, and it's become very challenging and difficult. But I was determined. I was looking at what was going on, and as time goes by, my uncle is now getting of age and thinking about retirement, And then I'm thinking about my family as well. And like I said, first and foremost, what I wanted was be able to give my family just that little bit more than what we had growing up and being able to take care of them. And I felt this might be a way for me to do so. And breaking away is not easy. It causes a lot of thought going through your head and a lot of different things that is hard decisions that we have to make to find out what we're really going to do. So it was kind of scary at times when I thought about it, but I loved what I was doing, and I felt I can do this.
How old were you at the time?
I was my early 30s. I probably broke away in 1986 when I was about 34 years of age. And it was difficult at that time. I see my uncle's business, but that's his business. He's doing good, and I'm very glad for him. But now I'm thinking about myself and my family, and I feel I need to go try something like this for myself, so I can better take care of myself and my family. And I had great support from my wife and kids. I already have 2 kids by then.
Wow.
My daughter Yvette and Derek, they're both growing, and I want them to be able to have a little bit better life, a little bit more than what we grew up with, and have all the necessary.
Sure. So you launched out on your own. You broke away?
Well, it was a difficult decision, but as I looked at this, I loved what I was doing for my uncle, but like I said, for my uncle, because it was his business, and I appreciate that. And I felt like, well, it's time for me to give it a try. I would like to break away and open up my own business. Business is great for my uncle, but truthfully, I could see the writing on the wall, and my name's not there. It's his business, his family, and I respectfully decided it's time to go give it a try.
Wow.
And of all things, when I made my decision, I felt, well, I'm going to do something special. And I took my family for the first 2-week vacation that I was able to get in my life, because in produce, we're fortunate to get 1 week a year. But now, with the time that I've been working for my uncle, I've been able to get them to see that I would need 2 weeks as well, as they always enjoyed.
Sure.
So I was able to get my 2 weeks, and we had the best vacation ever. We started from El Paso, going to Albuquerque, Santa Fe, to Colorado, going to the Painted Desert in Arizona, and the Grand Canyon and everything.
So you've always been a family man?
I grew into that position, yes. Family man in a way where I took care of my mother and my brothers as well, and a family man when I broke away and had my own children as well.
So how did you balance, because the work must have been intense.
The work, breaking away, I'm just going to finish real quick on what I had started there. And when we finished that vacation on the way home,
Okay.
It's important to me because it shows the support of my spouse as well. On the way back, after we were already about day 10, finally coming back home, and that's when I chose to tell my wife what my plans are. I already had my plan in my head, what I was going to do, but I didn't want to say anything and spoil a vacation. So we went through this vacation, and on the way home, I asked my wife, how'd you like this vacation? She looks at me and the kids as well. It's been the best vacation we've had since we've been married. I've already been married 10 years or better by then. Yeah. And I said, well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, and the kids had a great time. But getting back, I want you to understand something. After this vacation, I'm going back to work, and I'm going to be announcing to them that I'll be moving on. I want to open up my own business.
Wow.
And that's kind of a pretty hard shocker to my wife to feel like, whoa. I mean, you can see your life changing in front of you, so to speak. But she was very good about it. She right away said, Nick, you do what you have to do. One thing you've shown us, that you always took care of us.
Wow.
So that was very endearing to me, and of course, it was good to have. It's very important in whoever you are to have the support and of your spouse and families around you. It's very, very important.
That was important to you, and you succeeded in. So how in the world did you finance this breaking out and starting up?
Well, as soon as I got back, like I said, I announced to my two uncles that I was going to be breaking away. What I wanted to do as well is be a responsible individual and to show them that before they hear it in the streets from competition, suppliers, and so forth, that I'm announcing to them first that I will be breaking away. I felt I owed them that much, and I wanted to be able to feel comfortable going forward from there. And this is what I felt I needed to do. And after doing so, it became very difficult, even more challenging, because, of course, my uncle understands that now I'm looking to go into competition with him. And it's tough, and my uncle did what he had to do the best he could to take care of his business, and I did what I could to create my business. So it made it a little bit challenging. It made it difficult for me, to be totally honest. But in the long run, what he did was make me stronger. Because by challenging me or trying to keep me from opening up, I'm having to get more creative and understand how can I go around these issues, how can I continue, or how can I open up my business. So it became challenging, really difficult.
So your determination had to step up a level.
It had to step up considerably.
Wow.
And that did, and yeah, asked me with what kind of money. With very little money. I had thanks to my uncle as well, to the business, I had a small savings plan, which was basically a drop in the bucket for the size of business I was looking for. But I had good connections to people that knew me already, that supported me. And that's how I ended up getting started. I was very fortunate that they put their faith in me that I could do what I said I could. Though they were challenged by my uncle as well, like, whoa, what are you going to do selling to my nephew? You know, it makes it challenging. And, you know, like I said, in the long run, I don't blame my uncle. He had to do what he had to do to continue and keep his business the way he wants. My job is to start mine.
Did you see in running that business, did you see gaps or holes in the business that you thought going on your own you could do better, you could fix, you could change, you could have a better business?
Well, one of the first things a lot of the, not the competition, but the customers were telling me, oh, that's great, Nick, but you know, the timing's not right. What do you mean? Well, the economy's not good. It's going to be pretty tough. You can see how things are. And they were so correct about the timing. But, you know, I found out that the timing is up to you. It's not up to everybody. Are you ready for it? Are you up for the challenge? Can you complete what you have started to do? And I was comfortable. I felt, no, I may not have the business he's got today, but I feel comfortable. I can create enough to sustain what I need to do and grow it from there.
So you knew how to run a business up to the level that he was at. I have no idea what size he was.
He grew to, my uncle was one of the larger guys in El Paso at the time.
So you knew because you ran that, you knew you could build a business to that level? Was that on your mind?
At the opening up the business, my intention was basically to get enough to survive and better myself by a little bit more than what I currently have. And that was actually a very low threshold or what's the word I'm looking for? I went way past this so quickly, it was unbelievable.
Really? So you found success right away?
From the day that I opened up, thank God. It was very strong, very quick. I knew my business, I knew my product, I knew the customers. A lot of people kind of joked with me that, oh, all you did was move your business from over here to over here.
Sure.
Because a lot of the customer base followed me because I was already taking care of them. My suppliers followed me because I was buying from them. And so I was fortunate. But then things got awfully tight real quick. Why? Business is growing. I'm taking on new customers. Everybody wants credit. Getting cash customers is pretty tough. But There is some out there, of course, which is good. But then I got the position where the cash flow is catching up to me, where more is going out than it's coming in because of the time frame that it takes for customers to pay you. Again, the customers will take up from 21 to 40 days to pay you. But my intention, like I told you, was to pay how my uncles taught me upon invoicing. So money's going out quickly, but not coming quite fast enough. This is where I had to run to the bank for the first time. And I went to, which is Chase today, at the Times Texas Commerce. And I invited them over to my facility. We looked over my books, and they started going through it. And Safeway, they owe you this kind of money? Yes, sir. Smith's Food Kings, they owe you this? Yes, sir. The government, you got some nice numbers there. Well, thank you. And they look at me, and you're making this kind of profit. That's where I'm at today. You know, the bank tells me, Nick, most people don't make money the first 2 years of business. Here you're 6 months into this business, and you're already showing profits. Well, excuse the hell out of me. I thought I was here to make money, not to lose money.
Right.
I knew what he meant, but and he's very true.
That's right.
A lot of money goes into your business before you can get it out. And I was very cautious on that portion. I was a type of individual that wouldn't spend anything till I know I've got it. That's part of the downfall of some businesses as well. Money managing.
Yes.
That is very, very important, especially when you're starting a business and you see money rolling in. Some businesses feel like, wow, look at all this cash flow. I didn't have it before. And when you're not used to it and you never controlled an amount of this nature, it's very easy. Oh, I can go buy this now. I can do this. I can do that. But then things change. Your business all of a sudden from here drops a notch, but your spending is up here.
Yeah, wow.
So this is what happens and why some people I've noticed end up falling into shortfalls.
Sure.
So I was too cautious. Well, I should say too cautious. I was very cautious for these reasons.
Wow.
And I was, and my wife was very patient as well. There were things that we both wanted, but we waited for the right time.
Wow, tremendous story. We're continuing our discussion with Mr. Nick Delgado, who built a wonderful company, Quality Fruit and Veg. Mr. Delgado, thank you for sharing your story with us. You were sharing with us that you had worked for your uncle, Lelo Jaques, of Jaques Produce, for 20 years.
Yes, sir.
You learned the business. And it came to a point to where, and you were running his business basically, you wanted to break out on your own.
That's correct.
And you went to your uncle, your two uncles, Lelo and Manny, and told them you wanted to break out on your own. And you went to your family for family support. But you went and broke out on your own. Did that cause issues within the family?
Quite a bit, unfortunately. It's just, that's only normal though. My uncle, of course, is fearing that what is he going to take with him? How much of the business? Any part, portion, or what? And of course, my job is to create a new business and get whatever customers that will follow me.
So you already had the relationships with the suppliers and the customers.
Yes, sir, I did.
And you ended up taking a few customers from your uncle?
Only those that would follow me.
Oh, that was nice.
To be honest, yes. My job, of course, was to start my business, and I understood it well, and I took care of these people. They knew me well, and they knew that no matter where I went, what I did, they would follow me, knowing that I'm there to make sure that they get their needs and the products that they're looking for the right price as well, competitively. And of course, being a new kid on the block, well, you're a little bit more competitive because you want to earn their business as well. And you show them that you can bring the quality in with the right pricing. So It's very difficult and very challenging. One of those challenges is a simple thing like the government. The government was buying from Hawkes Produce, but the good part about the government, back in those days, there was about 6 participants that would sell to Fort Bliss. And the government actually had a buyer that was stationed here in El Paso. His job is to visit all the businesses that are participating and buy the best of what each one has. Now, with that said, I had great competition from Hawkes Produce, Farm Fresh Produce at the time, Untitled Banana. Romney was still in the business, Romney Produce. So I had my own competition that I would be bidding against. And the Army buyer would stop at each one, see and pick up the best. When I finally broke away, I told him, "Hey, you have to come and visit me. I know how it works, Nick. You're going to be over there, and I'll come by and look at your product." He says, "Please, you have to look at my products before you can tell me it's not good enough." No. We know the game. We know how it works, and I'll be there. So sure enough, I break away, and he checked out my product that day. He comes to visit me and looks at it. So, you don't have Dole, but you got Red Coach, Fresh River Ranch, and other top label names. And I go, "Yes, that's this product that I bring in. It's fresh." "Yes, sir." "And the price is right. You got the competition beat. You got the business this week." "Thank you, appreciate it." So I started growing that through understanding how bids work and how we can attain this type of business. And I grew rapidly, especially with the government business. I was one of our bigger suppliers back then, because not just Fort Bliss, they have what it was called troop issue. Troop issue will go to what we call the supply point. From there, all the different houses that were bidding were delivered to this one sector, and from here it's taken to Clovis, New Mexico. The base is there, to Holloman Air Force, White Sands, Kirtland, and all different camps and military bases within the area, within a 250-mile radius, roughly. And this helped me to grow as well. But it's very competitive, but I knew the game, and I knew how to play it, and I enjoyed it.
But you were sharing that you had cash flow problems in 6 months. You were successful, so success brings financial issues.
Right, and that was challenging, Like I said, I'm selling more than it's coming in. It's just the way it works. It's coming in, but not at the pace that I like to see. And fortunately, like I was mentioning, I went to the bank, and when I showed them what we were doing and everything else, they looked at it and said, "Wow, you're doing great. Are you sure this is all you need?" No, that's all I need. I don't want to borrow more than what I felt I needed. And my biggest concern was to continue paying my suppliers as quick as we did under Hawkes Produce, because he was well known for that, and everybody knew whatever you sold Hawkes Produce, they were going to get their money quickly. I want to give them the same but the same gratitude and the same returns as well.
So you'd pay in 30 days, or what was that?
Basically 7 days, because it takes you 2-3 days to get the product in. And then by the time you receive their invoice. So within 7 days, that check is out already.
Wow.
Going back to them.
But you haven't collected on that.
A lot of it I had not. Like I said, I didn't have any money to start with. But fortunately, they trusted me. And now any monies that are coming in, I pay bills before I pay myself. It's just the way I felt.
So at what point did you begin to realize that you were a success? I mean, in 6 months, you were already somewhat successful. You leased a warehouse, I assume.
Right. I had a facility that I was leasing, and I started off with a small section, approximately 6,000 square feet, and I grew it on that portion up to 15,000 square feet, which was just about the whole building. My landlord had one little corner, Sing Produce, that he worked out of.
Sing, yeah.
Yeah, you might remember them. And they were in business as well, but they had the corner, and I was renting from them the rest of his facility. I was there for 13 years. It worked very good for me. But then I decided to try to create a larger facility, more modern facility that were more for my needs. And I ended up building a brand new one right there off the freeway on Colfax Street, which is in between Chelsea and Reynolds, right off the freeway. That facility was what I thought doubling it, 25,000 square feet, which I felt this should be plenty. I outgrew it in 2 years.
Really, 2 years. Wow.
In 2 years, and it was still workable, don't get me wrong, but I was already again positioned. You don't really realize how quick you can fill up a warehouse when you have all this empty space. But we filled it up quickly, and now I lasted there only 11 years. Oh, not only, a long time, 11 years when I ended up being at that facility. The last 4 years that I was there was very challenging because I was having to rent extra space away from there because it just wouldn't fit under one roof anymore.
Wow.
Then we're also looking at Albuquerque already by then as well.
So you expanded to Albuquerque and put a warehouse there?
What I did in Albuquerque first was what we call a cross dock. We had a business there that had a potato company, and I would do a cross dock. I was leasing space, do what we call a cross dock. I would send trailer loads of merchandise, and from there we would unload it and put them into my bobtails, to my smaller trucks, to run all over town to deliver. And we did that for many, many years before I decided it was time to get a new facility.
Wow. So the facility you're in now is very large.
Yes, sir. Well, it's 3 times the size of the previous one. You know, I went from double to triple of the new facility.
Wow.
And thank God now it's pretty full and not to capacity yet, but we're getting there.
How many square feet now?
68,000 square feet.
But you had to have refrigerated units.
I have approximately from the 68, probably about 40,000 refrigerated.
Wow.
Refrigerated docks, 4 separate rooms with different temperatures in each one for different merchandise. I have a processing area where we ripen bananas and anything that needs processing as far as putting ethylene, humidity into the air. And there's quite a few products that we process through there: tomatoes, bananas, mangoes.
You get them before they're ripe and...
They're hard. You know, bananas will come in what we call the stage 1, which is dead green bananas. It'll take 3 to 4 days to break color on those. But with time, I bought me the best type of processing rooms, or ripening rooms that we call them, that we could find. And they've been very, very essential to me to maintain and keep the product for a longer period of time than the old standard way of processing.
I see in your webpage that you refrigerate the delivery trucks before you load them.
Yes, we pre-cool them.
Pre-cool them, okay.
Right. We turn on the units and get the temperature, you know, during the night, during the heat, so it'll probably build up. Since the trucks are insulated, it might build up to about 70 degrees inside. But that's warm for produce that you want to try to maintain 35 to 45 degrees. So we pre-cool them, turn the units on, and get the temperature down before we start loading.
Wow, that's a trick.
Well, this is part of the trade, yes, sir. It's just how we run things and how we learn how to take care of things.
So as you grew, though, your cash needs grew too. How did you finance your growth?
A lot of it was personal investment. I was the type of guy that would hold my profits and put them back into the business instead of pulling it out. To me, a strong business is going to give you the tools and things that you need to continue it to grow. I'd rather feed that first, and then with time, we ended up getting more financing if we needed. But the banks know me that I'm the type of individual that doesn't like financing. I feel if I have to finance it, I can wait. Let me get enough cash flow that I'm looking for and buy out what I'm looking for, preferably.
Yeah.
And each his own, you know, I mean, it all depends, but you do have to be awfully cautious on handling your cash flow.
The facility you're in now, do you own that, or is that, do you lease that warehouse down on 10 Zane Gray, right?
Right. Actually, we own it. And I say we because myself and a partner own that building, and we lease it back to the company.
Okay.
There's a lot of other businesses that are related that we have built as well. As I'm growing, as you were saying, we see different needs, what we need to do, and how do we handle them. Well, as being the owner and the proprietor, I'm doing as much as I can by myself. But as I grow, I'm noticing and I know that I can't do it all myself anymore.
Right.
And you have to be able to get the right people to do the right job.
Right.
My wife, she started with me since day one in accounting. And so she was always been a presence there till the day, which is very important. But on growing the business, now I'm spending a lot of time looking for trucks. I'm buying my produce when I need in Colorado, Washington, whatever, but then the next portion is getting the right truck for it. We have owned vehicles before, but I chose, instead of owning them, to get owner-operators and other people to haul for me, outside truckers instead of my own. Get paid for it one way instead of paying it both ways. It's different ways to work things. But by doing so, I felt I'm spending too much time locating, trying to find the vehicles that I need. So we create a new business. That's where I came up with Troy's Quality Truck Brokerage. Troy is my partner. And his job is to get all the trucks that we need to make sure that we have our needs from all over the United States. But on top of that, it's a brokerage company, and it needs to grow as well. First starting, I'm 80% of Troy's business. Today, I might be 20% at best, because we've grown that portion strong enough with more people. It's understanding how to grow businesses and having the right key people as well. Growing Quality Fruit and Veg. My two brothers worked for me as well. They were both very instrumental on sales. They're very strong on sales. And my older brother retired recently, but he was with me about 21, 22 years out of the 30 that I've been in business. My younger brother had been with me pretty close to the same, about 20, 21 years as well. So they were always involved, and you have to have good people around you. What I'm trying to say is, it's not one person that makes the business. It's everybody, from the individual that sweeps the floor to the guy that makes the decisions on the trucks and so forth.
Yeah. I had mentioned to a friend of mine I was going to meet with you, and he told me he knew your brothers, Ronnie and Lonnie. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Tell me about your children.
I've got two. Actually, to be totally honest, I actually had three, but we lost our first to stillborn. He was full term, and just one of those things that happens.
Yeah.
And that was a big blow to my wife and myself.
Sure.
That was actually before I had my business.
Okay.
So then we had my two, which is my daughter, who's being the oldest today, and my son, Yvette and Derek. They both grew with the business as well. During their high school and college, they worked there. If it was in customer service, or my son in the warehouse, and then eventually doing customer service and type of work like that, they were involved. More than anything, I just want to give them work ethic, make them understand this is what we do to earn a living. I think I did too much of a great job because they don't want anything to do with the business.
Well, they've developed their own talents, I guess.
Well,
but let me ask you about, back to your uncle, who you started with. You break away from your uncle, and you end up competing with him. How did that relationship turn out after a while?
You know, it was very difficult because at first, of course, he's getting used to the fact that he's got another competitor out there, and I'm getting used to making sure I take care of our business. But one thing that I knew all along is that that's the last man that I want upset with me, because that is the man that showed me, helped me as a young man. He treated me not just like an employee, he treated me like a son. I mean, he really did. So I felt I have to earn this man back one way or another. And I worked at it and worked at it, so finally I broke the ice and got him to understand. And we saw different things. And at one particular point, I had something he needed, and he wouldn't sell me at first because, of course, for pride or whatever, he wouldn't sell me. So he needed something I had and bought it from my neighbor. I called him back and I said, Uncle, if you need something that I have here, you don't need to call my neighbor. Call me. I might even be able to save you a little money on it. That's what I bring this product in this town for, sell to my market. He stayed quiet. You could hear a pin drop.
Wow.
He stayed real quiet. When you hear all of a sudden a big deep breath, you're right, Nick. It's time we buried the hatchet. I thought, no, Uncle, please. You bury the hatchet. I don't have one to bury. Because he was the one that drew the line, and I respected that. But I had to win him back. I honestly feel like telling him, no, Uncle, please, right here. Take it out. Take it out. I'm tired of carrying this darn hatchet with me, But he understood, and from that point going forward, we broke the ice and started having coffee every Sunday to talk to each other, see what's going on with the families and how everybody is. And then it came to a point where he closed his business and tells me, Nick, I closed my business and I gotta work. Do you have anything for me? I go, well, Uncle, you put up with me for 20 years. Come on down. Let's see how long I can put up. And I felt so relieved and so glad that he asked me. I felt proud to be able to bring my teacher, my master, back into the business with me. And I enjoyed it. Poor fellow, he was already in his 70s, I would say, and kind of once in a while hanging up on a person or transferring to the wrong person, but everybody knew him. And said, oh, you don't go hung up on me. I go, I'm sorry. Oh, don't worry about it. I'm glad to talk to him. I'm glad he's there. So I felt very, very, very proud to have my uncle there with us. And it felt like I was able to give him a little bit back what he gave me.
Wow. That's a beautiful story. So what is your secret ingredient in building a successful business?
I tell everybody there's no secret to business. It all depends on how you take care of business. And that's the whole trick, making sure that your customers are happy, do what you need to make them feel comfortable and be honest and do the best job you know how to do. That's what's going to earn you business. And like I tell everybody, it's only as little or as much as you want to do. It's up to you to create that. They like I was telling you, when I broke away, they were telling me, wrong time, don't do it now. But you know what? It was the right time for me. Thank God I did it when I did, and it flourished and grew quickly.
I like the way you said that. It's the right time for you. And that was what was important to you.
That's what's important. You have to understand, they're correct on saying how the economy is and what's going on. But it has a lot to know how you feel inside, what you feel you can do. I felt very comfortable what I could do. I knew my business, I knew my product, and I've learned it well, and I assist my uncles into understanding part of it as I grew as well. So that's what's important. Know your product, know what you're going to do, and pour your heart into it.
So where did that confidence come from?
Well, confidence came to me from wanting to better myself and wanting to achieve something that I knew I could. It's not for everybody. That's one thing about we need doctors, we need sanitation people, all types of people. Not everybody's cut out to be a business owner either, and we have to understand that. It has to fit, and it all depends on what you're trying to do. But anybody with any type of sense, all I can say is get the best education you can. Like I said, they asked my son one time, "What you want to do, son, when you grow up?" "Anything but produce, Dad." I said, "Great, that's not a problem. But do yourself and me a big favor. Get the best education you can and find something that you enjoy doing. Because you know what? You're going to be doing it a long time. Yeah. And you want to enjoy what you do. If you do this, then guess what? It's not work anymore." Yeah. My job to me is still a hobby.
Wow. And your wife
I get up in the morning and click and start thinking about who I need to call. I'm sorry you.
And your wife still works with you.
And my wife still works with me. She's still there. 30 years she's been with me, and she's been a great asset to have her with me and unite our family. Yeah, it's been very, very good.
So you're able to balance family and business and...
To the best that I can, you know, and fortunately or unfortunately, we don't get to this level by not dedicating ourselves. It gets to the point where you can spend too much time in your business. You got to be careful with that. You know, a good way to find out that you're spending too much time is when your wife tells you, Nick, send me a picture. What do you mean? Yeah. Send me a picture of yourself so I can show it to the kids to see, show them what you look like. I go, wow, am I weigh that much? You know, but it was just, you know, and it was nice of her to be able to let me know, you need to help us a little more here. You have to be more involved with the family as well, because, you know, there's more to life than just work. But I'm so dedicated, and it's difficult because if we don't watch our backs, then we start falling. We've got to be careful.
So El Paso's been good to you, and you've been good to El Paso.
Well, I tried. Well, El Paso has been very good to me. It's given me a home and a living, and I try to, in the same way, be active and give back to our community.
Yeah. I remember in the newspaper a year ago or something, an announcement of a big federal contract you won.
Yes, that was the El Paso sector of the government business of Department of Defense, DOD. And now that you mentioned that, just yesterday, I was, they announced to me that I was awarded the other bid that I was looking for New Mexico. I just got awarded the DOD contract for New Mexico as well. Wow. Now, I had that contract before, but I lost it to competition for the last 5 years. These are 5-year contracts. But now, fortunately, we got that. So we're always still trying to improve and grow and taking, you know, I've always felt that once you stop growing, then there's only one way to go. Yeah. And once you level off, then you start going this way. I haven't reached that yet. I don't feel I have.
Well, like these are large contracts. These are what, 20, 30, $40 million contracts?
Yes, they are. Good size contracts, they are. Yes, they're good size, and they stretch out for 5 years. And it's not like you get 40, 50,000 a year or something. No. That's what they average on the 5-year contract for the most part, which is a very nice piece of business.
Sure. So that comes down to each one of those like 5 million, 8 million a year, something like that?
That's very correct, yes, sir.
Okay, so that's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, and there's a lot of people involved to get that business and to take care of that business. That's why I have 175 employees. Good people behind you. Like I've always told everybody, it's not one person that makes this business.
So you've answered the question before I asked. What is tomorrow for Quality Fruit and Vegetable?
We love what we do, and like I said, I haven't reached that peak yet. I'm not ready to level off. I want to continue growing, and as I grow, just surround myself with the best people that we can to assist and help each other to take it to the next level.
So what is your purpose now?
I haven't figured that out yet. No, personally, I enjoy what I do, and like my uncle, he worked until he ended up in the hospital, until his death. I would like to continue work. I'm not looking to retire. I feel very young, and I feel I got a good 10 years plus in me yet.
That's right.
And I would like to continue doing what I'm doing, as long as I'm doing a good job and there's value to it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if there was a message you had for someone out there who's thinking about business or in business, what would you tell them?
I tell them you can do it, but it's going to be good dedication, hard work, understand, and learn as much as you can about whatever it is you're going to go into, and that's what's going to make the difference.
Well, you took 20 years to learn your business.
I could have broken away earlier, but I felt this was a good time for me. I felt now is when I feel comfortable. I understand business. And fortunately, I was given the opportunity to run that business. So all this was a great asset for me. And any individual, I just would recommend do the best research you can on your business. And the more time you spend in it to understand it, the better you're going to be.
So you understand your business very, very well.
Well, I like to think I understand it fairly well.
Well, you had to be a leader in your industry.
Right. I enjoy it, when I broke away, I'm not saying I wanted to be the biggest, but I want to be the best. I felt pride, and I felt like I can do this, and I want to prove to my family, to my friends, and to my customers that I'm here to do the right job and grow this business.
Well, Mr. Delgado, you've got 50 years in your business, 20 years with your uncle, and almost 31 now in your own business. You built quite a successful business. And your story is quite an intriguing story and captivating.
Well, thank you.
And I really appreciate your sharing your story. I've certainly come to see some things in your story that are very valuable. About one thing that is really interesting is the way you determined that the time was right for you to break away. But you knew that, regardless what people were telling you.
I did. I felt very strong that this was my time. People would say it's not. You're not in a depression, but you're in a recession. Things are down. But I learned from different other peso devaluations and recessions. In fact, back in the 70s and 80s, I feared more a peso devaluation than a recession. Why? Because when we had a recession back then in El Paso, our country is showing recession, but El Paso is going strong. And that was due to our neighbor. The peso is flowing strong. They're coming over here to do their shopping. Right. When they do their shopping, it just trickles down to the restaurants, the movies, and everything else. So we flourished. We didn't feel the pinch that the nation was feeling.
Yeah, but with the peso devaluation, you do.
With the peso devaluation, my uncle's business, at one point, he was 90% Mexican trade. Wow. And when that hit, wow, it came to a standstill. That's where I came in and told my uncle, we need to build stronger business in El Paso.
Okay.
And that's where I went out to go get
so you
new business on growing my uncle's business.
Okay. You built a business that was peso devaluation proof.
Well, I'd like to be more diversified, more involved in all different areas. So when something happens in one area, I got the other portion. I don't want to be dependent on just one sector.
Very good. Mr. Delgado, really appreciate you sharing your story. It's really been a delight. And we appreciate viewers for watching the story and hope you enjoyed this show and keep watching. Mr. Delgado, thank you so much.
No, we thank you. We sure appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you and good day.
Thank you.